wonder if your therapist or provider thinks about you in between sessions, or if maybe they just think of your sessions as part of their job, and once you leave their office, they're kind of done with you? Well, I want to talk a little bit about that today. So I hope you can join me for the rest of our session today on the Cultivating Calmness podcast as we dive into this a little deeper. Now, I have heard this brought up by my clients. I have seen this on other providers and helpers in the community on their social media or on their podcasts or just in discussions. And it's not something that I think we ever learned or talked about or really considered when we were in grad school and school for training, and specifically for me for being a therapist. There's a lot of things we don't learn in school for therapy. Let's just be honest about that. But to talk about what happens to us when we are done in our session. So you come into a session for your, let's say, hour-long session, fill in the blank with whatever time you go to therapy. And what do you think we do with that remaining time when it comes to you specifically? Well, I know for me, uh, most of the time, the things that are brought into my sessions from my clients are not left at the door. Now, as far as our work-life balance, as they would tell us, as you probably hear in your jobs, whatever you do, is kind of like leave it there, leave it at work. And as therapists, and I speak for myself when I say this, everybody has their own boundaries and their own ways of dealing with this. I have been a therapist now for 12 years, not including grad school. So if you count all of that time, we would add be about 14 years being a therapist. And I have progressed in the way that I handle my sessions, the way I handle my notes, the way I handle like what I bring home and what I don't. I have transitioned jobs 3 times, I think, and each of them were very different positions, very different things, and there were different ways of handling them as I would progress through my career at those positions. And oftentimes, leaving things at home only goes so far. What do I mean by that? Well, like I have gotten to a point now where I say I leave work at work and I leave my notes at work. Every once in a while, you may catch me bringing my notes home, for example, to do them at a later time when maybe I just don't want to be in the office anymore to do them, but I'll do them later. But that is few and far between now. That used to be frequently all the time, doing notes like at night and in the evening once I was home. But in order to have some of that balance, I try to prevent that from happening in most cases. And then there's all the other stuff that, at least in private practice, that we do as therapists that, might not necessarily be happening in the office outside of notes. That's like the business side of things. That's for me, making social media posts and recording information and maybe looking up information and trying to create things for the future or communicating with other therapists or joining boards or consultation groups or supervision, right? All those things happen outside of doing the individualized therapy that I do with people. So in that respect, leaving work at work isn't always what happens, but it's the additional things that are not the work where our clients come into our lives. So no, most of my clients do not just stay in the 4 walls of my office. They are up here and they're, in my heart. And when I'm doing things and going about my day, I will often think about certain clients, whether that's current clients that I'm working with and problems and things that they are having, or it's clients that I've seen in the past where something will remind me of them and I think about them and I wonder what they're doing. I wonder if they're doing well. I hope they're doing well. I wonder what it would be like if I ever got to see that person again. I wonder if I would recognize them if, they did come to see me, because in my last job, I worked with kids. So, kids can change a lot in just a few years and be, unrecognizable sometimes. And so can adults. So, yes, like work doesn't always stay at work. And no, you're not just my job. Yes, it is a job. It is something that I do to make money, but it is something that I deeply care about, and I want to help you as a client. And that's how many of us therapists and helpers, those in the helping professions, what we want. We want to help you heal and improve. And so you are on our minds. Um, I find myself thinking about certain clients when I go to church, and there are certain messages that will come up. And I have clients that do end up at the same church as I go to. So it'll be a message that we talk about, or clients that don't go to my same church, but that message applies to them. And I may share that with them because I thought of them. I have caught myself, which I've now even saved a little. On a folder, like on social media, because you have the ability to, save posts and reels and things. And, for later viewing, sometimes we end up doing that. Sometimes we don't. But when I'm scrolling or, doing things on social media, I may find something that stands out that I know I want to share with a client, and I don't want to waste that time in session. Looking for it. So I've now saved it in a folder where I can purposely bring that up if I remember for a client, because whatever it was reminded me of them. Maybe I thought it would make them laugh. Maybe I thought it would resonate with them. The message would resonate with them. Maybe I thought they could learn something from it. Or maybe they need to follow this or that account because it could be something that's helpful for them. Um, I have thought about my clients when I've been out in the community at certain events, wondering like, well, I know they live around here, so I wonder if I'll run into them or see them, which has happened. So part of my spiel that I give my clients is, hey, we're real people. I may see you in the real world, but I'm not going to, communicate with you unless you do so with me first. And that happens. That is always your choice. And that's how I phrase it with all of my clients. So if you see a therapist and you haven't had that conversation, it's likely how they will handle it, though every therapist is different. I usually say, I won't go out of my way to acknowledge you unless you do it first. If we make eye contact, I may sit, nod or smile, but I'm not going to like wave and make something really obvious unless you do it first. But in those ways, I think about you and I see you and I wonder about you. And I have things that clients have given me over the years, and that's a whole other subject we could potentially even talk about. But gift giving to therapists is usually frowned upon, and not something we're supposed to accept. So when it happens, I acknowledge that with my clients, and that I'm not supposed to accept gifts. So in the future, if you want to feel like inclined to give me something, here's some ways you can do that. But when we also have our own discretion and how that may affect our clients and the relationship that we have with them and how much they spent on it and how much time, et cetera, it's kind of convoluted and complicated. So when that happens, I often will keep those items in my office. So some of the items that you may see in my office, if you are one of my clients, have been from previous clients, handmade items, because they know, because they've got to know me and I've gotten to know them, and they know that I like certain things. Those are decorations in my office. And I don't tell people about the people who've given them to me, but it's just nice to know that, and those provide memories of those clients when I see them, and I remember who gave them to me, why they gave them to me, what makes them special, what makes it unique, what I worked on with that client. And I wonder, How are they? How are they doing? Where are they now? I wonder if everything is going well with them. So if you have been one of my previous clients, I've probably thought about you. There are, for a lot of us, as probably is the case in your life, there are people that you will meet in your life, whether it's through your work or just somebody you met on the street or a family member, fill in the blank, that stick with you. So I know for myself, I definitely have many clients that I have seen, but there are certain clients that I've worked closely with who, stand out in my mind. And, I can recall many things about their life and their stories, and the hard things that they went through. And those moments come to mind for me in between sessions or, just in daily life. And I'll have those triggers, those memories of that person and wonder. So, yes, we try to leave work at work, but no, work doesn't always stay at work when it's memories that we hold up here, things that we've worked on with our clients, the experiences and the heart that goes into all of that. Those are things that we hold with our clients, and it's I think it's special. And so I just want you to know, if you are a client of somebody's out there, that we do think about you. You aren't just a job. We worry about you. We wonder how you're doing. We wonder if everything's okay, if you're feeling well. And we hope that all of those things are going well for you. And if they're not, that you have found other providers or have found the ability to get the help that you need if it's not with us, because we want well for you. So that's all I wanted to share today, is that you aren't just a job, at least not to me. You are somebody that I care about, I think about, I work for, and, I want what's best for you. And I think we all do. And I think it's important for you to know that. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again next week.